Hi, this is Tim Sanders, founder of the OMNIA Radiation Balancer, and I'm honoured to have been a guest on the Journey to Truth show. Now, with phone radiation, most people think that because they can't feel anything, nothing is happening. But the reality is that this radiation is causing a lot of stress and damage in your body, and your brain doesn't register that it's happening. The likelihood is that you'll only find out about it when this continuous stress shows up in the body as disease. And this is backed up by well over 10,000 peer-reviewed studies showing that EMF causes serious diseases when they tested it on rats. The OMNIA Radiation Balancer removes this stress. It's proven to balance the blood, it brings perfect crystalline structure to water, and our kinesiology muscle tests show that the body goes super strong when you stuck it on your phone. And it works with 5G. You just order enough patches to cover every radiating device in your home and you're done. It lasts forever. But to be clear, let's not get complacent. We must all stop 5G together. So big thanks and big love to Tyler and Aaron. Click on the link below and you can quickly and permanently bring balance back to your body. Thank you.
Hey, you're listening to Journey to Truth podcast. Tonight we have Allison Coe on. And for those who don't know, she is a QHHT and BQH practitioner, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Therapy and Beyond Quantum Healing Therapy. She produces videos on YouTube, basically relaying information that she receives during her sessions. And she was a big part of my awakening. Your videos were just, the information coming through resonated, I think, with so many other people. And you have a lot of stuff that people need to hear. So thank you for doing what you're doing and welcome to the show.
Yay. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, and tomorrow is Aaron's birthday, by the way. So we have to give Aaron a shout out. Happy birthday
to you. That's awesome. Good.
Please.
Wait, are you an Aquarius?
Yes.
You are? Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Very
Why are
good.
you too?
No, I just was married to one for about 15 years, and I could see that being very suitable, though, for what you do, you know, interviewing people. It's like just being interested in all this phenomenal information that's available to you everywhere. It's the curiosity and the exploration.
Yeah, we get the intellectual reputation. Yeah.
Sure. So when I was going through my initial awakening, I came across your videos, I don't think by chance, and it really was some amazing stuff. It blew my mind. I hadn't even heard of half of it. I didn't even know what QHHT was. It was so new to me back then. And wow, you know, we've been on quite a ride for a couple of years now. And I'm sure the information that you get has changed your life too. So I don't know if you just wanted to touch on, you know, from the start till now, like how has this transformed where you even are right now in your journey?
Well, yeah, I mean, this information is absolutely incredible, you know, and, you know, I have to keep myself at a certain level in order to attract the clients who are going to share this information with me, who feel safe with me and everything. So that requires me to be completely clean in my life, you know, barring the odd, you know, whiskey and cigarette or whatever, but you know, ultimately I have to be really clean in my thoughts and my vibration and meditate and all this stuff to attract this clientele to me, because they'll be able to smell that coming from a mile away. They won't resonate with me if I'm not at a certain level. And so it really, you know, was an impetus to keep myself at a high vibration and make sure I was clean. So what that entails is like we talked about this earlier, not being on social media, not being, you know, constantly being on the internet. I don't read any news. I don't go on YouTube. You know, I may put shows out every once in a while, but I don't go on there. Like I don't do any of that stuff. And, that means that what I take in is only from my own meditations, my own knowledge, my own access to the higher self, or what I witness in these sessions. And so it keeps me clean. It doesn't sully the waters with all this outside information. I don't have a preconceived idea of what, you know, they should be saying or shouldn't be saying, or, oh, I heard something totally different on YouTube, therefore, you know, you can't be right. And it really holds space for people to for their sessions to flow out naturally. So that's kind of how they've evolved, or how I've had to evolve in order to attract a certain clientele. But the information has evolved. It's like I got all this information to lay a basis of knowledge at one stage. And then another, maybe the next 6 months, I get a whole other piece of information and all these sessions that back it up to start building upon that knowledge, theme after theme after theme. And, it wasn't until last year that I realized they're not all separate things. All of these themes, they actually stack on top of each other, trying to go on the same page of understanding what's really going on, with us as a human species right now, with the world, with why we're feeling this way, what we're doing, where we're going, why we're all being contacted, why we're all waking up. Fascinating information. But it all starts with, internally helping people just deal with life, and be a good person and eat the right food. You would be amazed at how simple it starts, all this information. Yeah.
Well, and it's amazing.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that you're able to come up with that kind of conclusion about what is going on in the world without researching, because it's on point. It lines up. It corroborates with everything that's actually happening, and that's why people
really does.
That's why people are drawn to you. Definitely.
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate that, because I have no idea if it's the information that I put out there, when I put it out, I have no idea if it's actually going to hit anybody's receptor sites, if you will, and like give them the piece that they need right when they need it. I have no idea. I mean, I know, but I don't know. No, I don't know based on any outside material. So it's kind of like a crapshoot. Like I get this knowing, an internal knowing. It's time. Oh, girl, it's time. You can't put it off. You better hunker down and put out a video. It's time. They need to hear it. Or I'll hear something and be like, that's the one. That's the one I need to put out, because I know that it has nuggets that'll help people, but I don't know based on what's going on in the world. I don't know based on what trends are flowing through YouTube or social media. I don't know because of that. So it is kind of powerful to be an extra piece that people need right when they need it.
Yeah.
And that's all to my clients, by the way. That's not me. That's my clients for, agreeing, coming to see me in the first place, trying to work on themselves, and then agreeing that, yeah, you can kind of air my dirty laundry or put it out there, and that's really special.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And by the way, I love how you, when you read your sessions, that you transcribe them. I like how you play two characters. And you change your voice. No, it's great.
It's amazing.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. I have zero patience for editing. I wouldn't even know how to do it anyway. So it's all like, okay, if I'm going to start, I'm going to close the door, tell my daughter to watch a show, and then I'm going to power through it and hope that I can do it okay. And so far it ends up okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my God, that's schizophrenia for you right there, man.
So this wouldn't be an interview with Allison Coe if we didn't ask you about the event. So, we know that this was supposed to happen a while back, and for many reasons it didn't happen. And I'm just curious if you had any new information on the timeline, or just anything you want to share that people might need to hear.
Yeah, here's the thing about that.
There was a lot of drama, I know.
I know that, and I don't mean to.
My thinking is like, here, I'm just go along with life, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That'd be cool if that happened when like these 10 clients say it's going to happen. But I don't like put any stock in timelines. I never have. I'm like, oh, cool. And I thought maybe people are like me and they think like this is like fascinating, right?
Not everyone.
No. When I
the hard way.
like all these sessions were saying this, they were like, well, you put out a prediction. I'm like, the fuck? No, I didn't.
You didn't predict anything.
No. That is not my, no, I'm like you guys. I'm just like, really? Interesting. That'll be cool if it happens. But, I still got stuff to do in the meantime, and I have to act as if that maybe it's not going to happen on day, 28, like they say it is, or whatever. Anyway, so the history of that was all these sessions were kind of saying like, oh, they would show people these glimpses of this event happening, and the events all look the same. It all looked the same, just from different, vantage points. Oh, somebody was in their house, or, oh, somebody was sleeping and they would wake up, or, oh, someone was with their kid. And then this big wave of light would come in from the sky and it would change everything. And it was like, well, that's amazing. So all this information is coming in about this big event. And then I would ask, well, when do you see that happening? And first I would narrow it down like, okay, so this is happening in their lifetime. You've established that, right? They're like, yeah. And then I'm like, okay, so do you see this happening within the next couple of years? Do you look much different? No, I look pretty much the same. So you see there's not too much time that is lapsing. And then you move it, you try to narrow it down a little bit more, or I do. And I'm like, okay, so does it seem like, closer? Like, does it seem like within the next year or less? And they're, oh yeah, within months. I'm like, okay, cool. And then that would happen over and over and over again. And so that's what I was like, well, the most important thing is there's this huge event that's going to happen, that's going to change everybody's life on Earth as we know it, or at least that's how it looks at this point. And it's going to raise the vibration of everybody on the planet. And it looks like it's going to happen soon. So we better get our stuff together, right? Well, when's it going to happen? I think it's going to happen. Well, they keep all saying it's going to happen in 4 months. Holy crap.
Big mistake.
I should have withheld that. Yeah. Well, so now I'm not going to even narrow it down, but it's always at least twice a week. So I do this 5 days a week. I do these sessions 5 days a week. They're epic. They're super long. They're powerful. 5 days a week I'm doing these sessions. At least twice a week there's information about an event that's going to take place. And every single one is like soon, 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 so soon. They hardly have time to prepare. So soon, so soon, so soon. And beyond that, I just don't even ask, because I'm like, what the hell is the point? Because they always say consciousness, our consciousness is what is driving the rapidity of this event coming to us, our consciousness. So we are in direct control of that. And what I found was that light workers, or anybody who has information and they feel let down, will actually have their consciousness drop to a certain level. They'll go back into kind of victim mode, as a lot of people do when they feel like this sense of hope, this sense of like, oh, urgency, and something big is going to happen. They're like, well, that didn't happen, damn it. And so the consciousness drops, it dips back down. They want to numb, they want to, be distracted by something because things aren't going to change as fast as they were hoping it would. So my only goal in life is to help raise the consciousness of this planet, right? That's my only goal. And that happens to be step by step by step, working with people, and then having a larger ripple effect with these videos. So I never want to do anything that could possibly bring us back down to a level that doesn't help this happen, right? Bring this along. Yeah. So this event, right? It's still happening. It's coming. Something big is coming that will shift all of us. It will shift everything on this planet. But in the meantime, lower, smaller energy waves are coming to help prepare us for these bigger, massive waves of energy. And that's what's starting to wake everybody up and change belief systems, and stop people in their tracks and say, the stuff that used to work for me, that I was doing, doesn't work for me anymore. The food I used to eat, the conversations I used to have, the habits I used to have, everything, it doesn't work for me anymore. I used to be able to numb out and eat Doritos all day long and chips and beer. And now I can't do that. Now I'm like, oh crap, I better get up and get out. So raising your vibration, it's waking people up to raise their vibration to get ready. So that's what these smaller waves are doing to prepare us for something much bigger. So that's what we see all the time. Yeah. That's happening now. So if there's anything to do, it's to prepare yourself for something bigger. Yeah.
Well, that was the perfect answer for that question.
I tend to be long-winded. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's what I love about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much great.
And I knew there was controversy around the whole thing, you know, you predicting it and all that stuff. I didn't mean to bring that aspect of it up. I just know there's a lot of good information there. So thanks for touching on that. And you laid it out beautifully. So
yeah, thank you. No, yeah, I always have this kind of feeling like, you know, I cuss. So is it okay to cuss?
Yes.
Yeah. You already have like 10 times.
Okay, sorry. Now I'm conscious of it. I don't give two shits sometimes. Like certain things, I just don't give two shits. If people say I predicted something and I didn't, sometimes I want to like correct them, but it's like, no. None of this is my information. It just isn't.
You're just
so it's illogical to say that I predicted something that would assume that some of this is mine. None of it is mine. None of it is mine. And so that also takes the power away from the people to find this information out themselves. Everybody has the power to go have these sessions. There are people all over the world who do them for free. So money is a non-issue. Go have a session, get these pieces yourself and be a part of this information, you know. But yes, the prediction stuff is like, it's illogical to, you know, I'm not saying you guys, I'm saying the people who got mad at me in the past. It's like, this isn't my shit, man. How can I predict something?
Yeah.
Anyway, so.
Yes, exactly.
What kind of information comes through as far as like the state of the world right now and like the stuff we are seeing exposed? Does anything come forward about what is happening and why?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nothing. Everything I hear is about utter chaos, and not chaos more in the way of systems breaking down and the chaos that it brings with it, and them trying to put, like the government, if you will, trying to put Band-Aids on this system that's breaking, and that outraging people, or like new information coming to light and that outraging people. And so it's all about kind of whipping this rug up, right? Like, I've got a rug over here. God forbid I whip that thing up, because who knows what the heck is under that. And that's what's happening. That's what's going to cause all of this outrage across the board, all over the world. And people start standing up and saying, we're not going to take this anymore. We're not going to take this way of being anymore. We're not going to take this rule anymore. We're not going to, have you affect our livelihood, have you affect our health, have you affect our kids in these ways anymore. Have you tell us what to eat, when to go to sleep, what to take, what medicines to take, whether or not we could travel, all this crap, and then have these, also the lid coming off, the disclosure for not only, ETs, not only that stuff that's already out there, but still the lid is on it as far as, the mainstream media goes. But the, child trafficking, the pedophilia, the sex abuse, the slavery, all the really, really, really dark stuff, us being able to start seeing that and seeing that it's not just these lone wolves, that are doing this. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is what has kept it kind of, people haven't been outraged very much, because they don't really know that it's these bigger systems, bigger groups of people that are in control of all this stuff. And then they don't have proof of that. And so all that coming out. And so session after session after session, when we look into right now and what the immediate future is, they all point at that people are going to stand up for something very big, very meaningful to them, because they just can't sit down anymore. They come up because of the outrage. But how good that makes them feel to finally be like, well, fuck, man, I have something to fight about. I was finally, stuff is happening, like, thank God, and that's that feels really good to people to finally have something. Anyway, so that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, it's also like, people are like, well, no wonder everything's so screwed up on this planet. And it's like all the underlying underbelly stuff that has been like hidden, but that's been there the whole time, and then all the controllers and everything else is going to get revealed, I think. And and then it's like you got the outrage of what's happening, but also it's like the clarity now finally of why things have been the way they are for so long, right?
Yeah, great point. Great
and
point.
And then people realize it doesn't have to be this way. It's only been this way because we've been ignorant and oblivious to all this stuff, and now we can take our power back, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And if you looked at disenfranchised groups all over the world, they've known this stuff forever because they haven't had the power. They've been like, this has been a rotten apple for so long, and here's what's going on. And all the rest of the people who are more the kids of the elite, and the kids and the kids and the kids and the kids and the kids, and I'm just talking, just your average Caucasian Western American is like, has the sort of privilege that, a black teenage kid in America doesn't. And therefore we kind of have been able to slip and slide around on the surface that everything's okay because we haven't had to see it. It hasn't been revealed to us, when all these other disenfranchised groups are like, it's been going on forever. So it's time that, larger groups of people who have money, who have all this privilege, start waking up and saying, crap, now this is affecting me, they start getting outraged. That's what really needs to happen, is that people who aren't outraged start getting outraged, and not dwell in that. Use it as a way to wake you up. Use it as a way to propel you forward. Don't just stay all like mad and angry. No, it's there's nothing to be added through staying in that anger. No. And we hear that all the time during the sessions, when it's like, okay, what's this person's role to play when all that's going on? Well, it's okay for her to get mad for a little while, but then move on. Like, don't add to it, just move on. It's starting to move on. Yeah.
You don't want to stay there. Exactly. Yeah. And
hold space for others,
Yes.
You painted one of your sessions, I think it was the most recent one that you, I think it might have been the most recent one that you released or put out on YouTube. It was just audio only. And I believe that the client was wanting, like, it came time to a scenario where there was some protest, and she had an ankle problem that would keep her from protesting. And the reason that was because she was supposed to be meditating and being the light, anchoring the light during that protest. But you said that other people are going to be in the protest playing the same role. That's a valuable point to bring up, because we shouldn't be so quick to jump out in the streets and get out there and protest. Some of us have to go inward and anchor the light. I thought that was great.
Right. And I think it's all about, so for her, it was like, they were warning her that she would be too quick to be brought down. She wouldn't have been able to hold the light if she had been taking part in those protests, right? She would have been too affected and would have been, had her vibration lowered to this outrage and this like raw anger. And she wouldn't have been able to hold the light. So they were like, we don't even want you in it. Whereas some people, they can manage themselves a little more in that scenario, and they can hold the light, they can anchor the light. And so it's different for everybody. It's knowing, what really riles you and what doesn't, and when you're going to go down and when you're not. It's kind of, in a very simplistic manner, it's like this. I am such a guardian of my vibration. I am always hyper vigilant about my vibration, but I also know when I can let go and let loose, but I also know when I can't. So if I'm struggling with something, an emotional issue, or like a disagreement I've had, or a fear I may have, that is not the night that I can go out and party. And by, I'm not talking about like rage or anything. I'm talking like maybe a couple whiskeys with friends or whatever. No, I can't do that, because alcohol already will lower my vibration, but I wouldn't be able to maintain a high enough level to stand it, But other times when I'm in this state of joy and peace and my life is going perfect, I know if I can have a whiskey and then still be a high vibration person. And so it's very much akin to that. I know that's a silly analogy, but I use that all the time. I'm constantly checking in with myself to see, okay, can I do that or that? No, I can't maintain that. I can't maintain a high vibration if I do that. I better just, not do that. And that's like shows, that's everything, can I watch Netflix tonight, or do I need to watch it like a spiritual documentary, or can I listen to, some nasty music right now, or do I need to listen to classical? Like, I know I'm constantly checking in because I like playing with certain dark, I used to feed the dark for over a decade. I was like, why not?
Yeah, likewise. And I didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was dark. And so it's been over a decade of light. But every once in a while I'm like, and I'll sprinkle in some pepper, some dark, like, hey, because I'm so light now, it doesn't take much, and I can have a good time as long as it's not like some nasty stuff. I'm not talking about really dark stuff. I'm just,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I watch myself. Yeah.
Like you said, it's all about paying attention to yourself and like feeling what feeds your soul, basically, or what in that moment, if doing something is like you want to do it and it's not gonna, like you said, bring you down or affect you negatively. And
it's a whole vibrational game.
Yeah, exactly. It's a vibrational game, and you can kind of like follow your like joy meter, I guess is a way to put it. Yeah. It's like, what's going to bring you joy in this moment?
Yeah. If you don't know about vibration, you know about joy. You know about happiness. You know that stuff. So until you know fully about vibration, use those words. Use whatever vocabulary you need, because that's what it is. Joy is one of the highest vibrations, that you can have. So it's like, follow your joy. What would bring me joy right now? Is it this or is it this? Go with the right one that will bring you more joy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of that is all part of the human experience anyway, is, playing with the dark, like you put it, as you put it.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes ignorance is bliss, and you can check out and just, be in that moment. And I always imagine, like, one day will we be on another planet talking like, man, remember back on Earth when we used to go out and party? We're never going to be able to do that again.
Yeah, this sucks.
So it's all part of the human experience, and like there's lessons to be learned in it. So when you do go out and you do have those drinks, you go out as an observer instead of being in the program. So it's a little different. You can kind of observe people and see the way things are changing, and see how you've changed in that scenario, and what lessons are to be learned that night as well. Yeah. So it can be turned into a situation that you can actually grow from if you're conscious about it.
If you're conscious about it, exactly. So be conscious, with everything, and that's a lot. That's a big task to do, but eventually you can get there if you're doing it little by little by little by little. You always have to learn how to do something by doing it wrong for a really long time.
Me too.
That's just how I learn. And I think most people do, but I just do stuff really wrong. And then I'm like, oh, I never want to do that again. That felt horrible the fourth time I did it. So that's how I learn.
So I want to dive really deep, literally, into the center of the earth. I know you've had some sessions where some information has come forward about inner earth and inner earth beings, and the sun and the central sun, or whatever you want to call it, inside of our earth. And there's so much information. It's fascinating. I'm obsessed with it. I love learning about it. I think in some way or another I'm connected or involved, and I just wanted to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, this is an endlessly fascinating topic. And if you think about all the different places that are on the outer earth, and there's just as many different places in the inner earth, right? Okay. So sometimes clients drop in and we don't know that they're in inner earth until we're asking a ton of questions, and they're like, well, there's all these beings here, and there's it feels amazing here, but it's like, there's no sky. And then, you know, there may be another being there, and we're asking that being a bunch of questions. We're like, where the heck are we, man? And they're like, you're inside of Earth. You're inside of Earth. So a lot of times we figure it out through this long line of questioning. No one is ever dropping in and being like, I'm inside of Earth, you know, I can tell. Like, it's not like that. You know, it's through a long line of questioning. So I give a lot of validity to that when people aren't just like instantly knowing where they're at, because that's not usually how this hypnosis unfolds by any means. Okay. So yes, people dropping down into this place that we find out later is the inner Earth, and meeting all these different types of beings. There isn't just one type of being down there. There's all these different types of beings down there. Sometimes they're blue. Sometimes they have like clear skin. Sometimes they're jelly-like. Sometimes they're absolutely humanoid looking like us, you know? So then they interact with these beings, and these beings are like coming to inner Earth because it is part of the planet that is already at a higher vibration. And so they come down here, and they're trying to send up energy from the inner Earth to the outer Earth. They're trying to help kind of reconnect them. And what I heard in several sessions, which was fascinating, because none of these people knew that I heard this in several sessions, was that many people described when they dropped down into the inner Earth that there was this bluish white glow everywhere. And it was this light that was always on. And it was like this big sphere. It was almost like a crystal sphere. And it was setting out boof, 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 light everywhere. And that's how it fed everything. It gave life to everything. It gave consciousness to everything. And I was like, well, what is this light? And they're like, it is the light of God. It was the light of Source, and it's inside the Earth. There used to be one on the outer Earth, but it's gone. It was destroyed. All right. So they wanted people to start connecting to this blue light and start bringing it up to the outer Earth. Right. And I got several sessions about that. What none of those people knew was that a year before I got those sessions, I had the session with this scientist, this amazing physicist. He's like a plasma physicist, this brilliant man. Right. And, his question on his, one of his questions on his list, for the hypnosis was, where do I get all these technological ideas from? Where do I get all these inventions from? And, specifically this one where they want me to create this blue light, this, what he calls his orb. And this kind of like God light that no one's really ever seen on this planet before. He's like, where is all this from? And so in his session, he's taken off Earth to meet this group of ETs who come down. There's these like wispy white ETs, and they're coming down into the atmosphere around Earth and speaking to him. And they're like, you're one of us. We sent you down here because we can't help Earth in these bodies. We can't do it. There's a quarantine. Nobody can do it. They have to send down an earthly body and shoot part of their soul into that body, part of a fractal of their soul in order to help. But we have amnesia, right? So we don't know. Yeah. We don't know. So they're like, we sent you down to Earth because we need you to build this blue and white orb because it holds an energy, a God energy. All right. And there's one inside of the Earth, and there used to be one on top of the Earth, but the one on top of Earth was destroyed. And when you create this and you expose people to it, it will raise their vibration so much that pretty soon it will be like Eden, a new Eden. And so all of this information coming, a year before any of this other stuff coming, it was like, what in the world? Same stuff. Same exact stuff, just a totally different perspective. So this inner Earth, I remember one guy, we had a session about because he was in the inner Earth, and he wanted to know, how are they getting down here? How are these ETs getting down there? And they said that they are from such a high vibration that they can dematerialize anything, just like walking through water. So that's how they're getting down there. They're just like, boop, 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 boop. They can go in and out, just like water. you know, so it's nothing. You know, the Earth's core, crust, all this stuff, nothing to them. They can just permeate it, no problem. So that was fascinating too. But all the time we hear, you know, how healing this place is, how healing it is. So some people have a soul fractal that still lives in inner Earth, and they're recommended in the session to actually connect to that soul fractal, send themselves down there and start healing. Because they're not doing it up here. They're like, go down there to heal because you're not doing the right stuff up here. And when you go down there and heal, you'll bring some of that energy back up here. So I'm interested in your like connection. Sorry, that was kind of it in a nutshell.
No, I'm sitting here like a student right now. I'm just taking it all in because you brought up some interesting points that I hadn't even thought about. But before I do that, have you came across any information about like physical entry points as far as like an actual cave, like a hole going into inner Earth? Has anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know where those are. But when we've asked about how to get into inner Earth, they're always like, of course people can get in there. There are not only portals, like energetic entry points into the inner Earth, but actual physical entry points. Sure. But no locations, no like GPS coordinates or anything, but definitely Mount Shasta has several of them. Absolutely.
Mount Shasta,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Supposedly a city is below.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I believe like, James Gilliland, I can't remember if this came through a session or to coincide with his information, but I know he has information that there are entry points for Mount Adams where his ranch is located, right? So there are entry points all over. Yeah, all over.
And just some advice for meditation purposes. Something I've been doing for a long time is, maybe it's because I'm connected, but I always imagine that central sun, that whatever you want to call it, that sphere of source light, which from my understanding is source, you know, it's the closest thing to source energy, if not source, you know, itself here on Earth. And I connect to that when I meditate. I imagine it coming up through the bottom of my feet, up through my body. And it's just a good way to really get anchored and grounded in that meditation. So it's just
good. And then do you send it out? Do you blast it out?
Yeah, I open up a cone from my third eye, because from my understanding, if you do that, it's like a beacon, and like the people or the entities or the beings that can assist you, it helps them see you. It's like it's either shining a little tiny flashlight or a spotlight. So you're kind of making yourself into a spotlight, so then you can transmute that energy into the universe and for everyone else who could benefit from it.
And then having a blast radius from your heart too, because you want to, so it's incumbent upon you to share it with your fellow men. So come on, Tyler, bring it. You got to blast that stuff out of everywhere. You have 2 flashlight points, right?
Well, yeah, I'm still learning. I mean,
okay. So I don't know if you know the way to do it, but you slowly increase your blast radius, basically. So at first, when you're meditating, and you probably know this, but I'm just gonna say it for everybody's sake. When you're starting to shine out and send out good energy, you start in your room, then you start in your house, then you expand it to your block, and then you expand it to your city, and you expand it, and slowly, and sometimes you just see how far you can get, but sometimes you can get like, the whole US or beyond in just one meditation. So it's like you're just seeing how far you can send this energy. And pretty soon, not too long after you start sending out this wave of energy, to this planet, you can pretty much get to a point where you're sitting above it and you're fully encasing it in this energy. And that's what they want people to do. They want them to not only shine it, like build up this cone, right? Very, very, very important. Build up this cone so more energy can come in and it can be exchanged and all this stuff. But they're like, send out that damn thing to everybody, every, not just people, but everything on Earth. It's going to raise a vibration, and it's powerful, very powerful.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I do, except just a little differently. We all have our own method. I kind of imagined the torus field, the toroidal field of the earth, and I kind of send the energy into that, and as if the energy's coming out of the poles and just cycling back in.
Beautiful.
So I send it into that, and this way it's like just you can't miss it.
You can't miss it, right? Because it's constantly circulating, going up and down. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's a beautiful image. Yeah. So I love this stuff. The whole point is do something. It's like do something. Send out this energy somewhere. Don't be stingy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So I'm curious what your history with the inner earth is, though. You feel a connection.
Well, he's had an amazing experience, actually.
For the people who've listened to older podcasts, I've told this experience. I've told it on James' show also. I guess I can briefly run through it again if you want.
I want to hear it.
Run through it again.
I don't watch anything, so come on.
Yeah.
So I was through watching Cosmic Disclosure. Corey Good always talked about the inner earth beings and all this stuff, and I was like, boom, resonation at the deepest level. It was just like I had to know, and he made it sound so easy that you can communicate with them if you just set the intention. And he made it sound so easy, so I thought, sure, I could do it, and I did. I made it an effort every night to try and manifest this and meditate on it. And I would do my own little thing every night, and I would just made it a habit, and I just never expected anything to happen. And one night I woke up to a text message. My phone was on my nightstand, and it said, "Are you ready to meet us?" And I immediately knew it was them. It was like, it was from an unknown number, and it was like
it wasn't from Tinder or anything like that.
No, and it was like so it was like a telepathic exchange. I knew it was them, and I was like, I actually honestly don't remember my exact response, but I was like, yes, of course. And they say, come to your back door. And I sleep in my basement, and I have a walkout basement. So I got up.
Right over there.
Yeah, and I got up, and I walked out, opened the door, and looked into the yard, and I didn't see anything. And I'm like, looking, nothing. And when I turn around to come back inside, this being starts appearing in my basement in front of me. She's not like fully, she's not fully there. It's like almost like a light body type of, but I could still see it was a human, a blonde woman, tall blonde woman.
It was Allison. Actually.
Yeah.
I
But she wasn't, she was like phasing in. So she wasn't fully phased in, like only got to like the upper half of her body. And I froze in fear, not because I was scared of her. For one, it startled me. I wasn't expecting it. And two, she was putting off this vibration that did not match mine. And it just put me in almost like a paralysis. And the message she sent me was basically the best way I could describe it was like, honey, you're not ready yet. And that's the best way I can describe it. And she kind of, she phased out, and I was unable to move. And when she finally was gone, I ran back into my room and checked my cell phone. I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And there was no text messages on the phone like they were erased. But I was up all night after that. I didn't go to work the next day. And I just, and the strange thing is my dogs were like, it was almost like they were put in a coma. Like they were sleeping and breathing so heavily. Like they were just like induced, like just out of it.
Wow.
So it was almost like they did something to the dogs so they wouldn't interfere with the experience, because anytime I get up, they're always up. And I thought about that after the fact. Like the dogs were never moved. So I was interested too. And later in another meditation, she clarified, I got, for the first time ever, I was able to get a clear, audible voice. She said her name. Si corse prefoxe is exactly, I'll never forget it. I don't know how to spell it. And that was it. But the whole lesson was I had a lot of work to do before I could even attempt to be around these beings. So.
Yeah. That's incredible. That's incredible. Absolutely. I love that kind of inner earth dating app, you know. Like, you ain't ready for this. Like, you ain't ready, man. You gotta get your shit right.
That's after the event, right? Yeah, not until the new earth.
We'll see how he does. Because here's the thing. We hear in these sessions all the time, a lot of people won't need an event to ascend, right? They don't need that. They can do this on their own. It's all about themselves and where they're at and what they keep doing and what they keep being introduced to. So you may not need an event to actually, you know, be able to go into these other dimensions and shift in and out and kind of dimension hop, if you will. And that's pretty fabulous. And these beings show themselves to us because they're meant to propel us further, right?
Okay.
And just because we're not ready doesn't mean we won't be. They're going to give us that, you know, we're going to do everything we can to get there. You know, that scientist that I was talking about earlier, he would meet people, he would have these sessions and he would meet people or go to places, you know, because he can just like astral travel everywhere. It's amazing. I also started dating him, by the way, so that's my boyfriend. Anyway, so he like he would go to these places and meet these amazing like ascended masters, and they'd kick him out. They'd be like, "You're not ready. Go away. You know, you're obviously ready enough to have traveled this far, but you're not ready to talk to us." And then he would do like 3 months of work, 3 months of inner work, healing, you know, doing all this stuff, raising his vibration. And then he'd go back and they'd be like, okay, we'll sit and talk with you now. And so it's really cool, you know, all this work that you can do to prepare yourself to meet these beings and to be worthy of their time. Because that's the thing, we got to be worthy of these higher level beings' times. And a lot of people come at that with fear, you know, and be like, well, you know, these ETs, they're dangerous and all this stuff. But your body will tell you when you're around a dangerous ET versus like a lower level ET versus a high vibration ET.
Oh,
your body will give you all the reading you need. Yeah. And yours was just like, not ready, right? It felt there's a discord there, but it wasn't that she was dangerous. It's probably that she was powerful, you know?
And the whole thing is that I was focusing so much on that I kind of lost sight of everything else that I was supposed to be working on. And I think they realized, like, we better show ourselves to this guy so he can let him know, like, it's not time and he needs to be doing other stuff.
Yeah.
And it really put my life into perspective after that, because I was really focusing on something that didn't matter. Honestly, you know, we have a mission up here. We have stuff to be doing. So we do. And, you know, you guys doing the show and putting it out there and exposing people to all this information, you know, this high vibration information has such a ripple effect, you know, because everybody who's exposed to this will then ripple out and ripple out and ripple out. And it's powerful. And I don't know what you're doing in your free time, but just this alone is important. It's truly important, you know, to spread more information. I got something yesterday. No, that was this morning. I was like, just really quick checking some information on my YouTube channel. And it said that in the last 28 days, there was 1 million minutes watched on my YouTube channel. Wow.
And all I thought was, I know that every ounce of information on my channel is positive. Every ounce, because I don't put the other stuff on. I don't put anything out there that could possibly cause fear. I don't do it. I make that's my concerted effort. And so I was like, whew, okay, that's a good month. Like, that's a good month of positivity spread out. Yeah. Oh God, I need a cigarette after that one. Oh my God, I need a break. Oh shit, the 1 million minutes of positivity. That's good. Hopefully it went out. So it's like, but it starts with 10 minutes of positivity. You know, it's like, okay, it ripples out. And it's like, you guys, you know, you're doing it, and thank God you're doing it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And you're right. It starts with making the leap to get in front of the camera and put out a video without fear of criticism. That was the hardest part, you know. When we released the first,
we were both very uncomfortable with this when we started. We were excited, but like scared at the same time. But we just kind of jumped into it. We're like, let's just do it and see what happens.
You know, that alone, what you're talking about is courage and boldness, right? And when I'm in these sessions with clients and stuff, and we hear what is the one thing that light workers need to do, and you guys are light workers, right? You're spreading light, you're spreading hope. You know, you're trying to raise the vibration of the planet through whatever means you have available. That is a light worker. You don't have to have anybody give you a badge or anything. That is a light worker. So what is the number one thing that is holding light workers back, or that they need to do, you know, to help, to get us ready, to raise consciousness, to do anything, like get us prepared, to get us up there? And I said, they need to start being courageous. They need to start being bold. They need to have confidence, you know, and not worry about, you know, getting harmed by other people's words or getting hurt by people ganging up on them or anything. Because it used to be, you know, you speak up, you get killed. You're different, you're killed. And so many of us have had those lives. And so we still hold on to that. And so it's getting rid, you know, these sessions are really good at getting rid of that junk so that you can propel forward with courage and boldness, you know, and bravery, and just step out and not give a crap. Not give two of those craps about what people say. But that's hard, man.
Very hard.
Yeah. And it's all an ego game, because if what you say helps people and you get lifted up by the fact that you're helping people and their comments, the opposite can happen. As soon as you're depending like any of your value is placed on those comments, and whether or not they're good or bad, it's all an ego game. And so that becomes a terrible seesaw after a while, because one thing can propel you up. You know, 10 good comments, only one bad one will like bring you down to your knees. Be like, why, God, don't they know I'm a good person? Like, can't they tell? No, they're just spouting off hate, you know? Yeah. Some people feel good doing that, you know? And so, yeah, it's good to not place any of your value on that. But that takes a while. It takes, you know, practice, right?
It does. Yeah. It does. And not engaging also. Not engaging in actually, that's a message I've been getting in meditations and just synchronicities, wherever you want to call it, is to not engage in the petty arguments. Don't give it your energy. Acknowledge it. Don't even acknowledge it.
You're validating it by acknowledging it and giving it your energy.
No message is also a message. You know, there's no reason to get sucked into it. And it's really steered me, because I was in an unhealthy place for a while. As far as letting that stuff affect me. And it's really steered me out of that to a point where it just doesn't even trigger me. I'm just like,
like you're in the Matrix now. You're like, you're dodging every bullet, you know, like, what was that? That's it. It's amazing to get there. I have the same thing. I mean, people would like, so because I'm female, they already have this whole other nasty, you know, rhetoric to throw at me, you know, you know, your makeup looks like this, like all this crap where you're just like, what the and then you have all the hate about the messages or, you know, this is against God and all this stuff. And then this, you know, it's just like, oh my God. So I personally had to ban all comments for about 4 or 5 videos. So I was like, no, I don't want the good. I don't want the bad. I want to be above it all. I just want to, all I'm doing is trying to share good information. I don't care about the comments. So it wasn't until I knew I was at a vibrational level where I could handle it, just like drinking, you know, the whiskey or whatever. I'm like, can I handle it? And so once I was at a vibrational level where I could handle it, then I turned comments back on and let people, you know, create a community. You know, because that's what it does. It creates validation for some people, and they share stories and they swap and they, you know, they create a community, and it's fun to see that. But
great point.
Not placing your value on that is a bit like staying above the fray. That's a huge lesson for everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a lesson for me personally.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
It's definitely helped me, like you said, to learn to detach yourself from other people's opinions and not put any, like you said, your value in that, like to really like your value comes from within, and you know your self-worth, and
Yeah.
And when you get caught up in ego, like you said, you start the opinions of other people, it becomes what's most important, and then your state of being changes based on that. And then you're constantly focused on all the external, and you're neglecting your internal.
Yeah.
It's
caught up in that.
It's the same point where she made with the protest. Like you go to the protest, it drags you down because you get
you're only focused on the external and then that low vibrational anger and hate.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have to, and I think so. The point over and over and over again that we're all three making is, this level of discernment and this level of connection with your own self internally to know what you can and cannot handle around you, and then extracting your focus from those things that don't serve you anymore. They absolutely don't serve you, and placing your focus on what serves you. And very often that's just, this internal stuff, anything that will feed, your growth or your expansion or your healing or your serving. Any of that stuff is worth paying attention to, and if it's going to throw you out of whack, to pay attention to the other stuff. And so many people are only paying attention to the other stuff. That's all they're paying attention to,
Correct.
Yeah. So many people are just turning into couches because they come home, they've worked all day, they're so tired, they just want some comfort. They want to kind of numb out and distract. So they sit in front of Netflix, and then Amazon has this crazy awesome thing where you can order from all these restaurants and have it delivered. And so they get their food and they haven't left the couch because that's their comfort zone. That's their safety. And they finally get to decompress. But eventually, if you do that for too long, you get scared of expanding, beyond your comfort zone. You don't even know how. So it's like a little goes a long way. A little of this decompression, a little of this entertainment goes a long way. It's like we are a nation of beings who are entertained to death. We are being entertained to death. And it's like, dude, unplug, pull your head out of your computer, out of your screen, and start living, man. We hear that all the time. Like, so many light workers, all ages across the board. Some of my clients are as old as 80, some of them are as young. I've had clients who are young as 12. All of them, the messages very much come across as they need to get off of the internet. They need to get out of the screens. They need to start being in nature. They need to start moving their bodies. They need to start connecting to communities of like-minded people. They need to start getting out there and spreading their unique energy all around. Get out of the computer.
Thank you.
That's what we hear all the time.
Thank you so much for that. And I can guarantee you every single one of our listeners needed to hear that. I don't care where you're at. We all spend too much time on our phones or whatever. Yeah. And it's just a great message, great advice. And thank you for bringing that up because it needs to be said.
Absolutely, man.
People need to act on it. So I want to change things up a little bit and go back into some information that from your sessions about death. Because so many people have the wrong idea about what death is. And if you can kind of like, you put it one time, we need to look at it as a gift because really, it's a lesson and we should be happy for the transition. What kind of information do you have on that?
Yeah. Death is always, oh my God, it's a touchy one because, it's easy to say that it's just waking up from a dream. Because truly when we experience these sessions and we take people into these lives, and I've also experienced many of these sessions, so I know from firsthand basis, you're going through these lives, you're feeling all the feelings that these beings have, whether they're physical feelings or emotional feelings, all the trauma, all the drama, all the physical ailments. When death comes, you're like, oh, thank God, that feels so good to be out of that body. Maybe I'll stick around for a while because, I want to check on things. I want to make sure to connect with these people or my loved ones, make sure they're okay. But ultimately, the being is like, thank God, I'm so ready. I'm so happy I'm out of that body. And the more they move up and up to the ethers, the more they lose the personality that belonged to that being, and the more they can reconnect with their soul personality. And it's fascinating to see. And that can happen within 10 minutes of dying. That can happen within 2 weeks, depending on what they decide whether or not they decide to stay on the surface as a entity for a while, as a spirit, and kind of keep track of things. Okay. So the perspective from the dying one is like, whew, thank God. But the perspective from the people who have lost is this, of course, this wave of grief, this blanket of grief at not having this person there anymore. Absolutely. That's unchanged, no matter how much information you have, that grief remains unchanged. Absolutely. Because the person's not there. But what we found is the quicker that people move up this emotional scale from grief from this blanket of grief to just kind of sadness and kind of, so there's an emotional scale, right? So sadness is a little bit above grief. And then you get this kind of like, anger and things like that. That's also above grief, believe it or not. And so you're moving up the emotional scale about the death and about the passing, and you're starting to interact with the world again. That creates an opening in your consciousness for that person who has passed to actually start talking to you. But when you're down in these levels of grief, they can't reach you. They can't permeate that. That spirit can't permeate that. So they'll often try to go and talk to another person who knows you because they aren't down in these levels of grief. And they'll give them messages, usually through dreams, to give to you, to let you know that they're okay. That's all they want to do, is they want you to know that they're okay, so that you can start interacting with them again and be okay yourself and know that life continues on.
Sure.
And so it's really, really interesting to see these both sides. And then we find this. So when we look at the reasons for things like premature death, what we would consider premature death, right? Very often it's something that's been assigned pre-life, that these beings, this group of beings, are all going to go through this stuff, right? So I'm going to die. It's going to, because you lost me, it's going to propel you to grow in this way. And then because you're growing in this way, you're going to have this huge effect on all these other people, right? And so there's these agreements that take place specifically with children who pass at a young age. It's like, okay, I'm going to do all I can before then, and then my death will cause this even bigger movement because I've died, and it's designed that way. And but in order to get that information, the people in that person's life have to get to this kind of higher level, above that blanket of grief, and that takes a while. And I've been in a lot of these sessions where the parents lost a child, and it usually took them about 18 months to 2 years in order to finally have a session after the loss of their child and get this information. But across the board, it all ties in the same. She was done here. She only signed up to CAME for a brief time. You were in the know about that. She knew that she could do more on the other side, and her death would propel you in this way.
Exactly. And so also I want to get on like the elderly, people who it's their time to go, and their family is surrounding them, trying to, tell the doctors, do whatever you can, We don't want to see him go. Although, like, you have to think about what is this person's quality of life, and is he or her able to serve their family anymore? What are they doing in any form of service to others, or themselves at that point? So there's a selfishness that people need to let go of also when it's time for someone to pass, because if he can no longer serve his family on earth, he can do so much more on the other side. And that people have to realize that losing somebody isn't necessarily a bad thing. And that takes a level, it really takes a lot to get to that point. But once you can understand that transition and realize that it is a gift, it'll change the whole way you go through life, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. The letting go of a life can be a very absolutely heartbreaking thing. It can be a painful thing, and it can be absolutely beautiful thing at the same time, especially if you feel like it's that person's time and you just kind of open up your hand and allow for them to either stay or go. You know, it can be very beautiful, but very often when a person is completely out of it, when they're physically, you know, completely gone, or they're fading, their spirit's already left, man. Their spirit is spending more time out of that body than there. And so truly what you're holding on to is the form rather than the formless. And the formless is the only thing that matters. It truly is the only thing that matters. That's the only thing that stays. That's perpetual. That's everlasting, is the formless part of us. But that's what gets everybody tied up, is that, well, that form isn't here anymore. You know, that little being. And I have it, you know, I have, like most people, I have loved ones, I have parents, and I have a little kid. I love their form. I want their form around all the time. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not a hypocrite, you know. I wouldn't, you know, ever say that, you know, you should just let people go, but
yeah.
You know, at all. But when it's the elderly, and when you know when you can kind of tell that they're already gone, what's the point? Their formlessness, what keeps them is gone. Mm-hmm. It's gone. It's left the building, you know. And we see that at the front of life too. That sometimes when children are born, their spirit isn't always inside their body. It comes and goes. It's like coming back, you know. Oh, I'm going to animate the body for a little while. Nope, I'm not. Because little tiny babies, they spend most of their time sleeping. And so that spirit isn't always in them all the time. And so the same on the back end, the tail end of life, you know, with these beings who are so sick or elderly or whatever, they're gone, you know, they're out of there. They're gone most of the time. So what truly are we holding on to? But man, I held on to my grandma tight. I'll tell you that much. You know, I can say all this stuff, but.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's natural. Yeah, we can talk about it all day long, but you're still going to have the natural emotions, the natural reactions, the human reactions.
Yeah, you need to acknowledge
yourself.
Emotions, but have the wisdom of it at the same time. Yeah,
absolutely. So all my training, you know, ushering people through death, through life, through all this stuff, and doing this for years, I still had to deal with the pain of, you know, losing someone and knowing what that ultimately meant to the people around me as well, and still had to process those human emotions and move up the scale of emotions, because that's what emotions are. There's a whole scale. If you just stop at one, that's when you get like sick, you do all this stuff because you're just dwelling in like anger or hatred or grief, you know. And the whole point was allow yourself to keep moving up the emotional scale. That's normal. That's being human. And that's what we came down here to learn. One of the many things we came down here to experience, right?
Oh yeah.
Joy and grief, you know. We get to enjoy one because we've experienced the other and we know how precious they are, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I lost my mother when I was 25 and it took a long time I was totally asleep. I was in a coma as far as, you know, being awake to any of this information, but it took me a long time to get to that point. And when I started going through my awakening, she started coming through and in dreams and like almost physically, I would feel her energy. I would smell her. I lost count of the experiences. And I finally got to the point where I was trying to figure out who my guides were. And every time she would come to the forefront. But I didn't want it to be her. I wanted it to be somebody from another planet or something.
That inner Earth chick.
Yeah. And I had to face the fact that it was her. And now I'm in communication with her all the time. And it's amazing. It's like we have this relationship. And my sister, I think she stayed in that state of grief for quite some time. And I think that's why she wasn't getting any experiences. Like you said, they go to other people when they can't reach. So I would always relay messages to my sister for her. So I hadn't thought about that. When somebody's in grief, they can't reach them.
They're impermeable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get the normal thing is that they tend to get upset that person that meant so much to them isn't coming to them. Well, why isn't she coming to me? Why? Specifically when you lose a partner, a mate, and that mate will go to a friend and come to them. Well, why wouldn't he come to me? Like, what the hell? But it's only because you're so bogged down with this heavy blanket of grief. Yeah. And that's all it is. So that's really cool that you were still giving your sister those messages, man.
Yeah. Well, it was crucial. I mean, I felt I had to. Thank you for answering all that. I think it's a fascinating discussion, and I feel like so many people are going through this, experiencing losses, and I think this information can help people, definitely. Yeah, I know it can. Absolutely. I know it can, because absolutely. We're never taught about anything like this, so it's up to us to figure it out. So and
it was so taboo for so long to connect to this other realm, the spirit side of things. It was taboo. So, and it's like quackery or something. People are like, that can't be real, or you're being taken advantage of. But I have to tell you, there is nothing more powerful in these sessions. When I witness somebody who connects to a loved one. There's nothing more powerful. That's from day 1 to year 5 of doing this for a living. There is nothing more powerful than when someone gets that sense of relief. They get a message from their loved one who has passed that just changes everything for them. Like a dad telling his kid, I'm so proud of you. I'm watching you all the time. And every time the client's just like, just weeping. Just absolutely weeping because it's so powerful. And I'm like barely holding back tears. I'm like, because it's like so meaningful, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer because just to let people know that they're okay propels people on, And so when you look at like every single person on this planet has access to a broad range of psychic gifts, right? Every single person. Certain ones are going to be dormant in each person, and certain ones will be heightened in each person. And certain ones of those psychic gifts come over as curses before we know how to use them. We kind of get scared or worried, or we get used by them. Mediumship, the ability to receive and speak, to communicate with the other side, especially spirits who have passed, generally comes over as a curse. It's scary AF, it just is super scary for most people, unless they have a parent who already has that ability and they're trained in that. But it's super scary to see these beings who have passed or get messages from them. And so many times those kids or those young people will shut it off. They'll just shut it off. And, but every single psychic gift that we have available to us at its core, at its highest potential, is meant to be used to help others. That's what they're meant to be used for. Every single one of them is meant to be used to help others. And I have to say, from having these sessions, mediumship is one of the most powerful psychic gifts that can be used to help others, to raise their vibration. But people have to switch it from a curse over to a gift. They absolutely have to. I have people in my family who, are in their almost 50s now, and they've never switched it over to a gift. They've always considered it a curse. Don't want it, don't want to use it, don't want to touch it. But it's still, anytime they do, they're used by it because they don't know how to put in their business hours and don't know how to hold their vibration high. So only the good ones come in, all of the stuff. Sure. And it's like, this stuff is so powerful. We're all meant to help each other on this planet. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen to that. Amen to that. So before we wrap this up, I have to say something. I had no idea that you were an artist. And I found you on Instagram and I saw your art, and it's really good. I could not stop staring at it. It is literally the definition of activating. Whatever is going on, I don't know, but there's messages encoded in that artwork, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I just had to tell you that. And everybody's listening, go to her Instagram, look at her artwork, because it could unlock something. Yeah, who knows?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so what those truly are, and thank you for your kind words. I'm not even paying attention to what I'm drawing. I'll do these sessions, right? And I'm talking to the clients. My hands will become wicked if I don't use them. I know that. And so I'm like, I better do something with my hands, while I'm doing these sessions. So I just draw. I'll take a cup and like trace the cup, and then I'll make another shape, and I'll do this, and then I'll fill it all in. And then I'll walk away from the session. In fact, run, because I have to go pick up my kid. So I'm like running out the door as soon as the session ends, because she's getting out of school. It's an ungodly hour. And so then when I come back into my house after picking her up, I'll be like, that's pretty cool, and then maybe if it's not done, or if I don't feel it's done, I'll just pick it up where I left off in the next session. I'll be like, as I'm talking to clients, run out the door, come back, and be like, oh. And so that's how they happen. And, I have no idea, I haven't had a session where I'm the client and I asked about them yet. So ultimately I have no clue what they are or what they're meant to do. But I do know this from everybody's sessions. Certain ones of us are meant to pull in energies, and we're supposed to create. And when others, even if we don't think we're creating anything, and when others are exposed to those energies through our creations, it brings them up, it activates them. That is the only reason why I have that Instagram, is because I know so much from these sessions. I'm like, oh, God damn it, I better put it out there, because I don't want to be I don't want to be a hypocrite. This is coming through all these sessions. I might as well do it, because these are flowing through. And so I'm just like a witness to them too. I'm like, well, we'll see what comes next,
Well, it's incredible. It's incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Yes.
We love you. I love your sense of humor.
I hope it's not too strong for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's refreshing. It's good, because it keeps things at a level where it's comfortable to listen to. So
thank you.
This was awesome. Thank you so much. I can't say enough about it. I can't wait to go back and listen to it, because I learned a lot, even just every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you guys want to yap, I'm always down, man. I have way too much information than can be shared with any other human being, I feel like. So I need multiple of them. I need 2 human beings to share with. Like, here's more, take it, so I can get more. So thank you. And thank you guys for what you're doing. We need more people like you out there, and keep raising your vibration up and doing everything we can do. We all benefit from it. And thanks for having me on your show and being willing to talk about anything and everything. And
yeah, it was fun.
If you want me back on, come up with a list of other crazy stuff you wish to delve into, man, because there's some banana stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we have every intention to keep going with this podcast. So hopefully one day we definitely will be reaching out again. So
good. If you don't have to, edit out too many cuss words, then please.
Oh no,
we're gonna bleep you on all of that.
Bleep it, bleep.
Yeah. All right,
man.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Oh, by the way, we have t-shirts finally. So teespring.com, head over there.
Shirts.
Use promo code TRUTH before the end of the month, and you get 10% off. Aaron came up with these designs, by the way.
I designed it.
And they're awesome. I love it. So hopefully you guys enjoy, and get yourself a t-shirt if you want. Thanks for listening. And
it's not about us, but get yourself a t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want.
Yeah. And go subscribe to Allison's channel. What is the name of your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube channel is just Allison Coe, and then my Instagram is Hypno Co. I used to have an old one from years ago, and that's still Allison Coe. Don't go on there. That bitch is dead. No.
That bitch is dead.
Oh man, what a way to end it.
Go on to Hypno Co, because that is open. It's free. You don't have to have me approve you to be on there or anything. It's just open for the art and stuff if you want to watch it.
Awesome.
And thank you for doing what you're doing.
Correct.
So much, because that is so important as well, and it's it's obviously affected so many people in an amazing way. So
thank
you so much for doing it.
I'm lucky. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, you know.
Dolores Cannon. Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it feels good. Feels good. All right, gentlemen.
Yeah. Good night. Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye, guys.